A new report finds many baby boomer parents are paying the price of the 14.2% youth unemployment rate.
Research from TD Canada Trust suggests boomers are having to step up and step in to help. Their grown unemployed children need everything from free board and room to paying off their credit cards and then helping them buy a car or even a computer. In fact, most 1 in 5 boomers said they would consider putting their own financial security in jeopardy just to help out their kids.
Really? That's what parents do, right? They're supposed to help their kids. But are they really helping by providing that financial crutch? We're joined now in studio by social worker Gary Dernfeld. Gary, I suppose you could argue that by always being there for your kids, you're really not preparing them for the real world, are you?
I'm going to go back to one of the psychology greats, I think the 40s, Alfred Adler. Adler talked about pampering as a style of abuse. And the thinking is that as we pamper our kids, we don't equip them to deal with the vagaries of life, adversity. And so now let's bring that to this point in time. We have a generation of young persons who have been pampered, have been spoiled, have been indulged by their parents, such that these kids, they don't have financial acumen. They don't have the financial literacy skills to manage in today's environment.
But did we when we were their age?
You know what? I think we did, more so, that we weren't as able to rely on our parents financially as our kids are today. Kids today, they have access to that credit card, and they look many are looking at it as a license to spend, and they don't know how to manage that debt or the interest on the debt. So what TD is trying to say to both parents, the boomers, and to the young kids is, for goodness sakes, get some data. Parents, you got to realize you got, what, 5, 10, 15 earning years left. Don't overshoot the runway on that. Children, you have 30 to 40 years left, so don't be looking to your parents to fully compensate. You got to find a medium where we can, help out somewhat, but not by helping out to the degree that we're pampering and being a crutch.
Okay, so let's talk about communication.
Yeah.
How open are most parents with their kids when I know they'll talk about feelings, and
Will they?
we want to know everything
Will
about,
they?
we want to be their best friend, but how about when it comes to, Dad and I are in financial trouble, or someone's lost their job and this is what we're going to do to rework things so that their kids have a clear understanding of how money works,
right,
and that everything isn't a bottomless money bank.
Right. So parents are balancing the issue of boundary. How much of my personal finances do I share? How much do I withhold? And the message that we want to give is you share only as much as it takes to teach a lesson to your children. They don't need to know your whole financial holdings. It's not their business. But to help them to understand, do you have the wherewithal to support at this degree? Maybe not. The other thing that we want to do in terms of teaching the parents, if you want to help your kids, it's not necessarily by handing out the dole, but helping your children to manage with what they've got. So if we can teach budgeting, if we can teach how to go to your bank, be it TD or anyone else, how to go to your bank and say, what are the financial tools that are available to me to manage my money? This is how we equip our kids for their financial future.
Gary, suppose you're caught in between and you say, I have the means to help my kids. I'd like to be able to help them if they really need it, but I'd like to get them to go out on their own and understand the value of money. For example, one of your kids wants to buy a home and doesn't have enough for a down payment. You can say, I'll give you the money for a down payment, or you can say, I'll tell you what, I'll loan you the money at like the lowest possible interest rate. You still have to pay interest on it, but you can pay it back over 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case is. But you've got to pay it all back, right? Is that something that eases a child's transition from getting a bit of help from mom and dad to learning what it's really like if you need to take out a line of credit or pay 20-odd% on your credit card?
I'm smiling here. What a slippery slope. What often that is a crock of you-know-what when we say, I'm going to help you out and I expect you to pay back. How many of those kids actually do?
Well, I paid it back. It took me about 10 years, but I paid back the money that my parents loaned me for a down payment on my home. But I gained it in equity on the home. It took about 10 years.
Yeah, well, good for you, quite frankly. I'm pleased that you have that sense of responsibility. But our concern is for those kids or for those families where the kids don't have that sense of responsibility. And parents, you know your children. you know if you're entering into an agreement that really has no teeth. And if you are, let's not play the game. And so if you're giving money to give it away. Don't expect anything in return. But if your children are abusing you financially, for goodness sakes, put a boundary in there, because you are not helping them, you're not helping yourself. TD Financial, they are worried that many of today's boomers aren't going to have the money they need to survive in their retirement, in their declining years. And some of that is because we, I'm looking at myself too, I'm a boomer, we haven't put that boundary in with our children.
Because maybe it's because you're going to spend your last few years with your children, the ones you helped out financially. You don't have a place to go. They've got a nice big basement or an extra bedroom.
They gotta be
might work out that way. Gary
There's
Dernfeld.
Reciprocity.
Make sure they're doctors and
Reciprocity is
lawyers.
a good thing in the family. Gary Dernfeld, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you guys.